So today I've got an entire room filled with stacks of books to bring to you. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I might not get to all of these books, but I really wanted to take part in Elaine over at Cobalt Dragon. So it seems really apt that Elaine's tag is called the Dragon book tag. So we've got some prompts. I've got some amazing books to share with you. So the first prompt is The Hobbit. Smaug loved gold and shiny things. What book or series did you enjoy that features gold, shiny things, or has a shiny cover? So first of all, before I get on to answering the prompt, today, after watching Elaine's video, I had to pop a book back to the library. Next door to the library is my super cheap charity shop, 3 books for £1. Don't you know, I found The Hobbit in there. So I'm talking about this in prompt 1 as well. So I have a confession to make. I adore Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love it. I've read it more than once. I've watched the films numerous times as well, but I've never read the entirety of The Hobbit. That feels like such a terrible confession to make. And for ages I've been thinking I need to get a copy of The Hobbit and to try again with it. I DNF'd this the first time I read it years ago now. Just couldn't get into it. And my daughter, who is also a massive Lord of the Rings fan, did the same. She couldn't get through The Hobbit, so I want to retry it. And this is such a beautiful addition to hold. It is just dinky and wonderful. So this was 30p. So I was super excited to find this. So right, that's book number 1 I'm talking about. But let's go to that aspect of a book that features gold, shiny things, coins, anything like that. I'm going to take you to the series I started this year with. So I love reading classics. I often share classics on this channel, or I'm getting into classics I should say. But I also love fantasy, magical realism, fantasy. I love it. My daughter talked me into reading the V.E. Schwab's series, A Conjuring of Light. So this is what I started January reading. Me and my daughter, we do a lot of buddy reading together. We have very similar tastes in reading, which is wonderful. We love like Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, all the Shadow and Bone books, that sort of thing. And I think V. Schwab series is the closest to that Six of Crows feel and that sort of epic reading experience that we had with that series. And I loved it. So what you've got in the first 3 books is a world where you've got different worlds next to each other, and only Atari magicians can travel between the worlds. And there is a virus getting out, affecting the worlds and basically destroying the worlds. And it's this rare race of magicians just traveling between the worlds, trying to work out what's going on. It is fantastic, but where does the gold come in? Well, you have to have something from one realm to pass into the next realm, and the magicians use gold coins. They use coins from the different worlds to pass through the portals, so they're always carrying like gold coins in their pockets to pass through the realms. Now there is a 4th book out which has got beautiful sprayed edges. I bought me and my daughter both a copy of this. We haven't read this yet, only because my daughter really loves to start a series and then to read all of them. So we're waiting for the other books to come out before we start this part of the series. But V.E. Schwab, definitely want to read more of this author. I loved it. Before I leave prompt 1 as well, I had to show this cover as well of Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, because we have got a big stack of gold coins, which just reminded me of the treasure store that you find in The Hobbit as well. So look at that lovely dragon on the front there. So that is my answer for prompt 1. Right, prompt 2, and I didn't know this, it's dancing with dragons. And what dances with dragons? Elaine tells us that dragons and cats go together as companions. Do I own any cats is one of the questions of prompt 2. I do not. I used to own cats and I grew up with cats and dogs, but I don't own any cats now because I've got 2 rescue lurchers, and lurchers and greyhounds and sighthounds do not really mix with cats generally as a rule. And I know that my bigger dog Rupert would not cope with a cat coming into the house. So I've got my 2 dogs. The big one here is called Rupert, the little one is called Luna. They're both rescue. Both of their names are inspired by another series of books that has got dragons in. It's inspired by the Harry Potter series of books. When I picked up Rupert from the dog's home, he was called Harry in the dog's home, but we didn't think he looked like a Harry, so we were going to call him Ron because his coat as a puppy was very red. But when we picked him up, he was so elegant as a puppy that Ron didn't seem to suit him, so we called him Rupert because the actor that plays Ron Weasley is called Rupert. So a year later, we needed to get some company for Rupert because he loves dogs, and we saw a smaller greyhound cross again, so another sight hound. We picked Luna up when she was very tiny, but she was actually called Winter in the dog's home, but we changed her to Luna because she looked pale like Luna Lovegood. So both of my dogs are inspired by the Harry Potter series of books, which again features dragons. And here is the front cover of the Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is from the set of books that I read to my kids when they were little, all at night time, curled up on my bed. Reading my kids the Harry Potter series is one of the most wondrous memories of my entire life, and it will remain that. It was just the most magical time with my children, a lot smaller than they are now. I just think that's a fantastic dragon cover on there. But I still haven't answered prompt 2. My goodness, I can't half talk. So a favourite book or series that features cats. I've got a number of books and we're 10 minutes in already. Oh my gosh. So I am going to show you a 5 book series. So this is Catherine M. Valente's series about fairyland. The girl who circumnavigated fairyland in a ship of her own making. That's followed by the girl who fell beneath fairyland and led the revels there. Then it's followed by the girl who soared over fairyland and cut the moon in 2. Then it's followed by the boy who lost fairyland, and then it finishes with the girl who raced fairyland all the way home. So this again is another buddy read I've been doing with my daughter. We've kind of both of us stalled on book 3. The first 2 books brilliant. We stalled a bit on book 3, but I still want to go back and finish these books. Now these aren't middle grade, but they're quite complex, and you can see on them, can you see the red dragon? Now this is a dragon that September, the girl that features in the novels, meets in fairyland and becomes best friends with. But he's very keen to let you know he's actually not a dragon, he's a wyvern, which is different to a dragon. You see he features on all of the book covers. And he's a dragon that works in a library. And his name is A through L because that's the book section that he looks after. He believes that his father is the actual library itself, and September frees him from the library, so he is a library dragon. But why is that got anything to do with cats? It's because September enters fairyland on a big cat. She enters on a leopard, and there are big cats featured throughout this series. So you can see the boy who lost fairyland, he enters Fairyland on a panther. So the winds, they own big cats, so it's got big cats in there, but it's also got dragons. It's a very beautifully written Fairyland series that if you like dragons, I think you might enjoy this series. So the third prompt, and I can't read my own writing, so that's bad. I think it says Dragonology. What crafts or hobbies do you enjoy? Do you have books about crafts and hobbies? So yes, I do. So I absolutely love art. I'm a trained artist. I love textiles and knitting and crochet. I did crochet sculpture for my degree. I also love tarot. My other YouTube channel is a tarot channel, and I love collecting dolls, as you can see. Can I link that somehow to dragons? Let me have a think. So let me grab some decks, some tarot decks. So I've got the Hobbit tarot deck, which is fabulous. Me and my daughter both own this. I've also got the dragon tarot as well. I wonder if I can just quickly find the dragon card in here. Yes, I can. It's right on top. So we've got dragons that feature in both of these decks. Now, I went through a phase last year of working with dragon energy. I like calling on different animal energy and like holding on to it to support my life. It's just a really nice way, I think, of self-help to work with the idea of dragons. And I was going through a bit of a rough patch, and to pull in the feeling of an internal dragon or the protection of a dragon, it's really supporting and I love it. So the Dragon Tarot and the Hobbit Tarot. I've also got this beautiful deck, which is called Smoke, Ash and Embers, which has beautiful cards like this. This is all dragons throughout. You can see the back of the card features dragons as well. That's a beautiful deck. Also got other Lord of the Rings tarot as well. You can see I am a Tolkien fan. If I can remember rightly, I think this Folklore Oracle also has a dragon card in, because I like tarot and I love working with Oracle just to give you a message of the day and to set your day up. It's just such a lovely supportive practice. And there is the gorgeous dragon card in that. Isn't that beautiful? So if you are interested in that kind of thing and you're interested in Oracle and Tarot, I might actually take this tag and do it based on my decks over on my other channel. So when I finally got that uploaded, I'll link that in the description box. You might want to watch both. But I also collect dolls. I'm a lifetime collector of dolls. I picked up this little doll. This is one of my dragon dolls. I've also got a Hagrid doll somewhere. A lot of my dolls are in storage. I've got a Descendants doll that turns into a dragon as well. This is one little doll that was out. You can see here, isn't she absolutely gorgeous? This is a pixeling doll, and they do all like fantasy characters like dragons and mermaids and fairies and things like that. So I just thought I would bring her to show you, because she's a dragon doll. So there's a crossover there. Also downstairs on my doll's house there's another dragon crossover, because I love miniature worlds and dolls houses. It goes with my doll collecting. And when I was working with dragon energy last year, I wanted to incorporate that somewhere in my doll's house, and I started to make a dragon landing pad roof and collecting dragons to go up on the roof. And some of these dolls are dragon tamer, dragon carer dolls as well. So the dolls do come into my spiritual life, and you can see it with books like this. So we've got the anatomy of a doll. I love the idea of making spirit dolls and using dolls in a spiritual practice, or dolls for goddess work. I think dolls in a spiritual practice are just wonderful, and I think the artwork in here around different dolls is incredible. Again with this book as well, which is the Art Doll Chronicles, you've got loads of different variants of what a doll can actually be and mean. You've got journal pages as well around working with dolls. It's just a beautiful book that gives you a real snapshot into what a doll can actually be. So I do love books like this around the idea of working with a doll. So yeah, it does crisscross over with dragons. So my other area of interest as well is what I did my degree in, so constructed textiles. I still make things with crochet and knitting and embroidery. I paint. I've got an art studio downstairs. There's a weird crossover here as well. I am going to show you some books, don't worry, but there is a very weird crossover because these are books, and this one, you can see how much this one was used. This is what, it's literally in sections. It's all fallen apart because it was so used in my textile degree back in the 90s. So I've had this since the 90s. This is a pattern book of all sorts of different patterns and cables for knitwear. This is literally my knitwear Bible, but it's by Barbara G. Walker, as is this one. Barbara G. Walker, she did some fantastic knitting books. However, Barbara G. Walker also writes spiritual books, and if you watched my May TBR video that I uploaded last, I talk about these books in that. So I started with Barbara's knitting books and I've ended up on a similar spiritual path as well. So these are actually on my TBR. So what a strange crossover, but it doesn't stop there. She also makes tarot decks and oracle decks. This is an I Ching oracle deck, which I absolutely love. This Barbara Walker tarot comes out with me. This is the tarot that comes out with me when I go ghost hunting, although I don't call it ghost hunting on my other channel, looking for soul stories, and I take this tarot deck with me. And you can see, although they might not necessarily be dragons, there are a lot of mythical beasts in Barbara Walker's deck. Just found another dragon oracle whilst looking for my Barbara Walker decks, so if you want to see those, then I will put the link in the description box. But I also have other knitting and crochet things. I don't knit jumpers, and didn't even knit jumpers when I was on a knitting degree. Like I said, I made crochet sculpture, and if I am going to buy a craft book to do with knitting or to do with crochet, it tends to be making these sort of strange creatures or making things. This is a beautiful Dream Toys book. Look, you've got fairies in here, you've got pirates, all sorts. I absolutely loved finding this knitted farmyard book. I will drive out of my way to track down sort of knitted villages. Recently round England they did a tour of the knitted Bible, so the whole Bible done as knitwear. That's the type of thing that lights my soul on fire. I love it. And then this Star Wars crochet, this is just fantastic. You've got all sorts of characters from Star Wars that you can crochet in here. So my daughter is a huge Star Wars fan, so I think I might need to start making some of these for her. So those are my weird crossover craft books with tarot. In fact, even my crochet sculpture, I've got one piece left which I haven't sold over the years, which is a boxed sculpture. I will try and video, put some photos here of it. And I know that later on in this tag, Elaine talks about astrology and planets, and these artworks, this boxed sculpture was based on astrology and tantric circles on astrology grids. So again, Elaine, it's a really weird crossover, really bizarre but really fabulous. So prompt number 4, oh my gosh, I'm only on prompt number 4, goodness me, is dragon art. Do you have a favourite artist? Well, I have just done a tag which I uploaded, I think on Tuesday or Monday I uploaded it, a books and art tag, and I talk about lots of artists in that video, and I show lots of my art books. So I love art, so I'm going to do something different for this dragon art. Do you have a favourite artist? and books featuring artists. So the other favourite artists that I've got in my life, my kids art. I've got portfolios full of my kids' art over the years, and I love children's art, but I wanted to keep it linked to dragons, and this is an incredible colouring book called The Book of Beasts, which my son had for a while in his room. He's kind of outgrown that now. He is a strapping teenager now who is taller than me, and I saved this from being thrown out because I loved it so much. So this is just an incredible colouring book which presents lots and lots of mythical creatures, and it's elemental, so that's brilliant. It shows different mythical creatures for different elements. So at the back of the book we've got all the water creatures. You can see my son coloured this one in. He was very young when he coloured this in. All my kids are incredibly good artists. There is a wind mythical creature which he began to colour in. We've got another completed colouring here for Earth, and of course, what would we expect to see on the fire page? Of course we would expect to see dragons, and throughout this book there are lots of different types of dragons mentioned, so I just thought that fitted in beautifully for this tag. Prompt number 5 is how to live with dragons. Do you cover by, and what are your favourite colours? It doesn't matter what colour is on there. And yes, I definitely do cover by, and I, along with the Hobbit today, bizarrely there was another dragon cover which of course I grabbed because I just watched Elaine's video, and it was this one, The Obsidian Throne by J.D. Oswald, and you can see that there is a dragon on the front. I've since googled it and realised this is actually book 5. All of the books seem to have dragons on the front, so I just need to look out for the other 4 books. So I definitely cover bought that because it had a dragon on the front. One I bought today is a Benedict Jacker book from the Alex Verus novels. So this is a series. I bought it not because it's got a dragon on the front, but because I recognised this sort of text with fairgrounds stuff in, and I knew that I'd bought another book from the series from the same charity shop. So this is actually book 1, which is such a find. This, however, is book 9. So, but it's also got a dragon on, so I definitely am buying by the cover. 2 other series of books, again all from the same charity shop, 3 books for £1, none of which are read. I am really outing myself here for the amount of books I've got that aren't read. So this is the Christopher Paolini. It's about dragons. It's a boy with his dragons, 1 boy, 1 dragon, a world of adventure. So this is book 1, and I like the fact that these show colours. Then there's book 2. These are such beautiful covers. Then there was also book 3 sitting there, and there was book 4 sitting there. So I'm pretty certain that this is a 4-book series. I also found on another day this one in a slightly different cover. I bought it because I didn't know whether it was a different book or not, but it isn't. It is the second book. So I've now got 2 versions of the second book, neither of which are read, but I definitely bought these for the cover. And if, Elaine, you were to force me to choose which colour I like the most, I think it's the blue cover, which I love. But you would think that 1 series with dragons on that I haven't read would be enough. But I also went down there a few weeks ago, and because I have a Witch Lit Anytime tag going, I'm always looking for books which have the word witch on, and I found this series, which is book 1, 2 and 3, which is by James Clemens. And these, not this one, but these 2 both have dragons on the front. So Witchfire and Witch War. I've no idea what they're like, but it has the word witch in. It's got dragons on the front. What's not to love? I bought it for the word witch. I bought it for the covers. So another dragon series that I still have to read. Part of prompt 5 is also the question, what book or series did you enjoy that featured dragons? I've already mentioned the Fairyland books. I've already mentioned Harry Potter, but I am going to mention Terry Pratchett. So Terry Pratchett's books, I think it's Gods that really features dragons, but there are dragons that crop up through Terry Pratchett's Discworld novels. I am trying to replace Discworld novels because the first long-term boyfriend that I ever lived with, he was a massive Terry Pratchett fan, and he bought all the Discworld novels as they were released, and I think I read about the first 10 or 12 books and also loved them. But of course, when I moved on, I left the books behind, and I'm trying to find them to replace. So far I've only found one in the charity shops. They're hard to find, but the Discworld novels is a series that I really did love that does feature dragons. Right, question number 6 is star magic. Do you have a favourite constellation or a favourite astronomy book? Okay, let's have a think. So I'm a Sagittarius. I'm a true Sagittarian. I'm a really true Sagittarian. I really embody all the characteristics that they say that Sagittarius is. And there is a constellation that goes with Sagittarian, the Archer, I think it's called, which I don't spot very often. But of course, the sign for the Sagittarian is the Archer and the Centaur, so part man, part horse. So I'm going to share a book that has got centaurs in, and that's The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. So this is the illustrated Chronicles of Narnia. This is a beautiful copy that I can remember reading to my year 1 class when I was a primary school teacher, and this book features a centaur in here, which kind of links to that Sagittarian star constellation of the Archer. So I wanted to share that book. And I looked through the rest of my bookshelves to see if there was anything else on my bookshelves that linked to star constellations, and I found one. I found the Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater, which is a recent find in a charity shop, and this is linked to the star sign for Scorpio, which is it Scorpius? I will put it on the screen now. It's another constellation. I'm really excited to read this. Of course, Maggie Stiefvater is also linked with tarot. She's got a deck called the Raven's Prophecy Tarot, which links to the Raven Boys books, which are some of my all-time favourite novels. Again, I did a buddy read of this with my daughter, so we've both read the first 4 books from the Raven Boys books. Absolutely loved it. This is full of magic, full of witchcraft, full of tarot, full of prophecy. It's just such a good read. I do have the spin-off books from the Raven Boys book. I've got the next 2 to read, which I bought new, which is almost unheard of. So these are waiting to be read, as is this one, Scorpio Races. So that links to constellation. This is the last prompt, is Chinese horoscope. So you've got that idea of the dragon in the Chinese horoscope. I am not a dragon, I am a monkey. But a book about astrology or astronomy, a book that features the movement of stars or planets. So I do have some books that do link to that sort of thing. I do have a tarot and astrology book, which is really fascinating. I'm not very good, to be honest, with understanding astrology. I find it really tricky to follow. I do have this one. I also have another book which charts the decans, because you can do decan walks through the year with your tarot decks, because each tarot card is linked with certain decans, which I find fascinating. And last year I did try and do a decan walk through the year as a tarot study. To understand the decan walk, this is one of my sort of altered book journals for my tarot study. I did, and it's opened up straight on one of the pages, I did do sort of collages for the decans. I was collaging the decans as I went, because I remember things purely visually. I am not very good at remembering things that are said to me, or that I read, which isn't very good for a book channel, is it? But if I turn them into something visual, then it does sink in. So these are pages where I have collaged the decans. Now, I did not get very far through my decan walk. I think I only got about a month through it. I am a single mom with 3 kids, and I do find sticking to things quite tricky, but what I did I loved, and it is something that I am going to want to get back to. So I think this is the last double page spread for collaging the decans. It was so much fun. I did enjoy it while I did it. So that is as far into sort of astrology study that I've got. As for movements of the planet, I love goddess studies, and I love knowing where the moon is in the sky. It's very much a part of my spiritual practice to feel connected to the moon. I've often said that if I don't know where the moon is or what phase of the moon we're on, I feel incredibly ungrounded. It is a real strong way of grounding myself to understand that movement of the moon and where we're at in a moon cycle every month. This is a great book that talks about the movement of the moon. You've got moon spells in here as well. I do collect moon water every month. I use moon water in watercolor painting just to add a bit of extra magic in. I've got moon decks as well. I do love of all the planets staying in touch with the moon, so these are books that I use for that. I also do my housework in time with the moon as well, so I do like to keep track of it. So I think that's kind of it. The only books I kind of left out to speed up for time, I may as well just share now. Cats, I found this copy of Living Free by Joy Adamson in my charity shop, which has got big cats. That was a recent find. And for books on cats, I also found this Animal Fairy Stories. Look at this vintage fairy story book, and honestly the illustrations in here are just beautiful. Let me find some of the illustrations that have got cats on. So you've got the mouse and the cat there. Look at that cat illustration. Isn't that just everything? You've got a story called The Cat, the Ram and the Wolves, and you've got another fabulous cat illustration there. You've got the cat, the tiger and human strength. I just think these illustrations are just mind-blowing. Princess and the Cat of the Kingdom. You've got a cat bride there. Just wonderful. Let's finish with this Cat in Its House for the cat, the weasel and the rabbit. These are stories that I've not heard of before, but yeah, I definitely want to read them. This was just a fantastic find in a charity shop. Again, I think this one was 10p, believe it or not. So yeah, Animal Fairy Stories, just wonderful. So from cats to dragons to star constellations and planets moving. Elaine, thank you so much for this really fun and interesting tag, even if you did make me admit that I've got so many books that I haven't read. I've loved finding your channel. I'm new to BookTube, but I am loving your interesting eclectic taste in books. I think we have very similar tastes in some areas as well, so it's just been lovely to find your channel, and thank you for the tag, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Now I've got all of these things to put away, so I'm going to go and get on with that. So I'll see you next time. Bye.